Hello students, how are you doing? Hope you are studying well. Okay, the topic for today is long-term memory. Let's study. Long-term memory is where we store memories for long periods of time. Once a memory is stored, it can last anywhere from a few minutes to the rest of your life, and the amount of information is infinite in long-term memory. Now, what are the reasons? Why is it so? Okay, I will take the help of an example. I will try to explain it with the help of an example. Why information is infinite? Why it lasts information throughout life? Students, till now we all remember alphabets that we studied during our initial years. We all remember A, B, C, D, likewise till Z. We've not forgotten. We do remember some formulas of mathematics and science. How come? Because of constant repetition and revision. We are able to write lengthy answers that come in our exam. How? Because of constant repetition, because of constant revision. We study hard for exam and it goes into our long-term memory. Moreover, when we encode information in stable, alert, conscious manner, then also it goes into our long-term memory. This is the reason. But some life-changing episodes, some turning points of our life, some experiences that can be good, that can be bitter, they also go in our long-term memory. Why? Because they are distinctive, they are vivid in its nature. These are the reasons. Okay. Now let's study its types. It has two types, explicit memory and implicit memory. Explicit memory, it refers to the conscious intentional recollection of factual information, previous experiences and concepts. So what is explicit memory and why it is called declarative memory? You all remember what you ate yesterday? You all recall the events. Suppose sometimes earthquake comes, some like natural calamity like earthquake, tsunami comes. We all recall the events. We all recall the events surrounding these kind of natural calamities that hit badly. We can tell our friend that this particular natural calamity like earthquake, like tsunami, it displaced more than 5 lakh residents, 5 lakh residents. We can explain because we are consciously aware and we can verbally declare them. We can communicate our memories to ourselves and others by speaking. That's why it is called declarative memory. It is called explicit memory because we can explain them, we can communicate them, that information. Now, if we study its types, you will be able to explain, you will be able to understand it in a better way. It has two parts, semantic memory and episodic memory. Let's study what is semantic memory. It contains general factual information and knowledge related to a world. For example, if I ask you what is the definition of memory, what is the definition of psychology? If an English teacher asks you what is the definition of noun, what do you mean by pronoun? What is verb? If some geography teacher asks you what is plateau, like if you are able to give answer regarding some formulas, it is because of your semantic memory. This is your semantic memory. It is your knowledge of facts, ideas and meanings related to a world. Next is episodic memory. It is a part of long-term memory responsible for storing information about personal experiences and specific events. Like if you're having a conversation with your friend and about the match that you attended last week, you tell your friend about the time of the match, that is when it happened, the location where it happened, the teams that participated, the names of the players, likewise how you enjoyed watching the match. All this information, it includes recalling information regarding when an event took place, where, what occurred, and the associated emotions. This is because of your episodic memory. The information that you have recalled to your friend is stored in your episodic memory. Now, for example, one more thing very important. When we recall specific events or experiences that we had in our lives, we are using episodic memory. It consists of your personal facts, it consists of your personal experiences, the birth of your child, your first interview, first day of your job, your wedding day. This is all included in your episodic memory. Okay. So what is the difference between episodic memory and semantic memory? If you know that say football is a sport, if you say cricket is a sport, if you know this, it is because of your semantic memory, because it consists of your general fact and knowledge. But recalling what happened during last football game that you attended, what happened, it consists of your it is your episodic memory, because it consists of your personal experience, personal facts and experience. Moreover, in semantic memory, you don't have to experience them to learn and remember them. Semantic memory is not dependent on personal experience or even a specific event. It is not dependent upon knowing that say Delhi is the capital of India. Delhi is the capital of India, we all know, but it doesn't mean that you have to travel there, you have to go there, and you have to experience. No, it is not required, because in semantic memory, you don't have to experience that particular thing. You just have to gather that knowledge that is necessary. Okay, so these are the two differences. These are the two differences between episodic and semantic memory. Next is our non-declarative memory, that is also called implicit memory. What is implicit memory? Implicit memory requires the participants to perform a task. These tasks do not require a conscious recollection of previous experiences. So with study its types, again, you will be able to remember, you will understand with the help of some examples and its types. First is procedural memory. Procedural memory is memory of how to perform some action, some procedure, how to ride a bicycle, how to swim, how to drive a car. These are skill jobs. You have to perform. You are performing something. Okay, so this is your procedural memory. So once you learn, these behaviors become automatic and they do not require much conscious thought. See, talking is something, when we're speaking, when we're talking, it's something that we do automatically without much conscious thought behind the process. So it is our memory of how to perform some action. And it is very difficult to demonstrate procedural memory verbally. Procedural memory they are usually shown by doing. It is nearly impossible to demonstrate that you know how to swim without actually getting in the water and going for a swim. So it is automatic. It becomes automatic. Once you learn, it becomes automatic. So this is what we mean by procedural memory. How to do things. And one thing is important in this, that it is focused on the step-by-step process that must be performed in order to complete a task. For example, riding a bike, learning how to drive a car. You have to follow some procedure. Next is priming. What is priming? It is a technique in which the introduction of one stimulus influences how people respond to a subsequent stimulus. I'll explain it with the help of word completion test. Okay? What is word completion test? In this, participants are given a long list of words to read. The list is long enough that participants would not easily be able to memorize it, and also do not know that the word might be helpful later on. Then the participants are asked to complete words that have some letters left out. Like some letters are written, some are left out. For example, suppose the first list contained words like book, college student, and they have to complete the word. That is, the test word is library. Then they have to complete that word. They're able to do it. Why? Because what is the reason? The reason is that the first list of words serve as the prime to influence later behavior on the word completion test. The participant responds faster and with accuracy to a word if they saw a word closely related in meaning just before they see the test word. Okay. In this way, the first list of words serve as the prime to influence later behavior on the word completion test. Okay. So it means it refers to the process by which a past experience increases the accuracy or quickness of response. It involves they can use pictures, they can use words or the stimuli to help someone recognize another word or phrase in the future. This is what we mean by priming. Next is conditioning. Conditioning is when we unconsciously learn to associate one thing with another. For example, we can take the example of this use of celebrities in advertisement industry. You must have positive association attached to a celebrity that you really like. It can be from any field, from sports industry, from from this film industry. Likewise, when they endorse a product, say they when they endorse a product, they attach some, they attach themselves to a beauty product. For example, if they are a film star, you associate positive associations for that product too. If they're endorsing a product and you like that celebrity, automatically, unconsciously, you associate your positive associations for that product too. You are unconsciously conditioned. You go, you buy that particular product endorsed by your favorite celebrity, and you associate that positive feelings to that product too. In this way, advertisement industry increase their sales of products with the help of conditioning, with the help of this process of conditioning. Unconsciously, unintentionally, you associate your feelings to that particular product, to that particular thing. In this way, this industry, this advertisement industry, they increase their sales of the products and services. Okay, this is what we mean by conditioning. And so this was your long-term memory. Hope you understood. And if you have any problems, if you have any queries, you can call me anytime. Okay, you can contact me, you can call me. And students, please study well and do well. And teaching is my passion, so just boost my confidence, boost my boost my energy by subscribing, liking my video, share it, and enjoy your studies. Okay, bye bye.